Like for me, reading it's a little bit like inviting somebody into, if the psyche is the house, you're inviting somebody in. How do you stay the lord of the house and avoid being ideologically possessed by that particular spirit? Because for me, an Alexandrian spirit is somebody who has their own ideas and who doesn't follow anybody, but the conscience or whatever is their truth. I feel like whenever somebody identifies them very vividly with an identity of a philosopher, or it's all, they always struck me more as cold members rather than active agents of their own authoring, so to say. How do you read without becoming a mouthpiece of that particular philosopher?
It's a really good question. It's kind of hard to say, but what I would say at the moment, I think, is that um, I think the wise in the current world are insufficiently um, assertive with respect to the fools that will be raising their mobs. Like there is this repeating wisdom that keeps coming back, which is um, that you don't debate with fools. You beat them up. It's in the Bible. Like the only time you debate with a fool is to show that he's a fool. It's in the Bible. It's in the book of Proverbs. Like, we're so polite in the society. We're so pacifists that we let like crazies start wars. So I think it's less about who's the follower and who's the leader. Like when you have a wave, which molecule of water is the leader? It's a wave. It doesn't matter. The question is, like, are you on the path of the future, or are you just going to be um thrown away by the
Start
river of
into
time?
I was when I was a teenager, I had a to get ready for I was a basketball player growing up, and it was a special events like twice a year where we would get ready for the season. And my brother had his scholarships because he was a pro already at that time, and I was emerging as a pro. And we would go to Switzerland to learn how to ride ski and to be in an environment where we would play with the other players. And I was like very not behaving very well. And I remember this, a basketball player is very tall. Like I'm 2 meters tall, but they're like 210. So they're and strong as superhumans. And I remember me being late or something and speaking up, and I had some ideas. The moment I started to speak idea, they all punched me. And it was like a proper beating from like seven people. But it was in a meaningful way. And the climate where there were consequences for insanity, for stupidity, for being the fool. And I feel like something we have a very strange passive climate where like the people who should speak are somewhat silent, and the people who should really shut up like push themselves into into the limelight. Do you have any advice for somebody maybe who should say something but is being silent right now?
I think we need to connect and kind of build communities. Like we cannot just rely on institutions to kind of give us a spot. I think we need to become more entrepreneurial, especially when it comes to institutions.
Yeah, it
Like
reminds me
we're running on the inertia of the past, uh, and like at some point you have to go and you have to do a rebirth, not not like a revolutionary rebirth, like, oh, we're gonna do everything anew, right? Like, but a kind of careful continuation and evolution of the institutions, of the ideas, of the philosophies, right? Like, I mean, we are fundamentally curators. Like, we're curators of ideas. We share things that we found that are valuable. We try to connect them together. You know, we try to find a partner that would be a good fit to create a family, and then we try to pass the best ideas to the kids and give them the resources. You know, like, this is a part of life. You know, it's this preservation of this continuity. And you know, sometimes you just, like, we also have a tendency to be lazy. And I think right now we are out of options. Like, we cannot be lazy anymore. Like, we have to come together. We have to organize, you know, not let the extremists organize, but let, like, you know, the middle organize with, you know, the respect for all the wisdom of the past, for an integrated wisdom of the past. You know, and because, like, right now what's happening, all right, so okay, so Trump, right? Like, how did he become the president? Well, so turns out that in 2015, the team around Hillary Clinton were thinking, like, all right, like, let's sabotage you know, some of the candidates of the Republicans, you know, where we suppress the folks who are, you know, who are likely to win, and we boost the folks who are not likely to win. And Trump was one of the candidates that Democrats boosted because they thought that Trump would be easy to defeat. Or another example, Antifa, the original anti-fascists in Germany. Well, yeah, I mean, they were against fascists, but were also against the Social Democrats, the SDP. Or, you know, for example, in Russia, like, you know, the Tsar had a secret police, and the secret police was basically supporting the Leninists against, like, the moderate left. You know, it's just this repeating pattern, right? Like, where one side that's on the losing, that's supposed to basically kind of step away for a while, okay, tries to maintain power by playing dirty tricks. And the dirty tricks is usually, like, divide and boost. Right? And so, I mean, today I learned that Israel was supporting Hamas, the predecessor group to Hamas, because they would fracture the power of the PLO. And I'm not, like, defending PLO. Like, they were responsible for so many acts of terrorism in the 60s. But still.
It's so many follow-up questions. In regards to the silence of people who have something to say, one of my favorite quotes is from Dante Alighieri. It's like he said, like, the hottest. It's one line from the Divine Comedy, which I think everybody should read. It's particularly for men who haven't learned what love is. I think it's a good blueprint. It's like, there's one line that says, like, the hottest places in hell are reserved for those who maintain their neutrality in times of moral crisis. And it's really not taking a side, I feel, whether you're on the side of life or not.
Yeah, I you know, there's this idea, like, can we just get all the extremists to lose? Well, the problem is, unless you become, like, a radical centrist, like, one of the extremists is going to win. So if you don't like extremism, you have to become a radical centrist. You have to recognize that when there is a war of ideas, you sometimes have to take a stand for wisdom, not for an ideology.